Ah, the show my old Gramps always wanted. There's another.
What is up, YouTube? Back again with another video, and in today's video, I got a banger for you. But real quick disclaimer: there will be some spoilers, and there will be some background noises, so be prepared for that. With that being said, we're gonna hop right into today's video, and today's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna be talking about Horizon Zero Dawn. In my opinion, amazing game. Like, I think the world of gaming is being reborn in midst of our eyes, to be honest. And this is gonna be a really different video because I'm gonna be kind of going into the idea that gaming is being taken for granted, I think, in a large sense. And I think it starts with Horizon Forbidden West, the first PS5 full-blown game, in my opinion, that really captures the essence of next-generation gaming and what it's capable of, more than PC games, more than Xbox or PS4 games. Because Horizon Forbidden West really just takes it to a whole other edge. And you see the gameplay in the background. I mean, the game is gorgeous, man. And this kind of comes down to why I wanted to make the video, because I kind of felt like when I was playing this, the music, the characters, the story, the atmosphere, the history that it's trying to tell is unlike anything else that we've ever seen. For anyone that doesn't know, quick recap on what Horizon Forbidden West is about. So it is the second game in the Horizon series after Horizon Zero Dawn, which came out a couple years ago on PlayStation 4. And it's based kind of on this idea that human evolution, at some point in, from what I understand, the 2030s, the 2040s, kind of got out of control and became ultra realistic and also sensitive. And it really just took off. But at the counter effect of this, basically the robots, I believe it's a hacker, counters the robots, and purging it, and nicknaming, I think it's Hades, at least during your playthrough it's called Hades. I don't remember exactly what they called it before, but basically turns the robots into evil beings. And by this point, most robots were being used for everything from agriculture to everyday things, right? So building buildings, hunting, farming, doing your dishes, right? It's just a whole 9 yards. So the humans at the time decided to make the Zero Dawn project, hence the game, the first one, Zero Dawn. And that kind of goes into the background of Zero Dawn and kind of caused the downfall, right, and the extinction of the human race prior to the storyline of the game that you're playing. And Elizabeth Sobek, which is the creator of the ultra intelligent AI Gaia, which is basically the Earth's last defense that it has, and the world pretty much goes into full scale war, trying to protect Gaia asset. And Gaia is built up of like multiple different sub-programs, things like Hades, Hephaestus, I believe it's called, Apollo, there's a couple other ones, there's Demetri, I think it's called. What's the other one? Poseidon, there's a couple other ones. And each thing in itself builds upon Gaia, which is the almighty, like the main interface for the AI. And what this does is it allows her to manipulate the robots to help kind of protect the human race. Well, sometime shortly during the story of the ancestors, as they're the old humans are called in the present in the game, they had failed to launch a ship called I think it's called the Apollo ship or something like that on the end of that. Someone can tell me in the comments if I got that. I think I got that wrong. Basically, the ship is supposed to go into outer space with the human race, right? And come back once the Earth is prepared to, do a hold human life again. The mission fails and it blows up. It kind of leads to the after effects of why Aloy is who she is. I believe she's a third clone to have survived, but has the only one that has technically succeeded in her programming. And that kind of leaves off for Zero Dawn. You kind of just fight Hades, and you, for the most part, with the help of Sylens, you do destroy Hades, who has basically purged Gaia in the current timeline. Fast forward a couple of months after the Battle of the Spire, which becomes Aloy's big turning moment, where she becomes a savior Meridian. The storyline of Forbidden West begins, and the Forbidden West storyline really digs deep into the history of the Ancients and really understanding where they stand and where they came from and what they went through to get Gaia and where she was. So Aloy, of course, fights her way through different types of monster robots to get to an Aloy. For a Gaia reboot card, basically. If you have Fortnite, people know what I'm talking about. It's basically a reboot card. It reboots her and gets her up and running again. And the whole focus of the game at this current moment, as I'm playing through, is to recapture her sub-functions. Sometime middle of the game, early middle game, you will meet something called the Neith, I believe they're called, and they basically are the living ancestors, and by ancestors, they're literally the humans that were on the ship, and you find out later on that the ship actually survived. They faked it. A whole group of humans that were on the ship wanted to basically come back from the future, go to the future, and actually take control of Earth of their own necessity. So Aloy now has to fight basically aliens that are bulletproof and arrow-proof. So that's pretty crazy. And that's kind of where I'm at in the story now, where I'm collecting her some functions. So some functions they have, some functions we have, and some nobody has that we have to go collect. And basically, there's a disease called Blist or Blight. I think it's Blight, if I'm pretty sure. And basically, that is a virus that's in the software that needs to be eradicated. But she needs her sub-functions. Gaia needs her sub-functions to actually accomplish that goal, which is kind of the driving factor of why we're getting the sub-functions in the first place. Now, with a brief story, kind of understanding, if I have a better understanding of what the game's based around. And I kind of want to dive into the feeling, the atmosphere that the game has been giving off, which is unbelievable. I haven't experienced an atmosphere since probably Assassin's Creed Origins, or I'd say even probably like Red Dead 2, maybe. And I mean like very early stages of Red Dead 2, not later game. So the location is actually the center of the U.S. And the reason I'm saying this is because it actually makes sense in the names. So Horizon Zero Dawn is kind of more eastern than southern U.S. And you can tell this by the atmosphere, the way the game is designed. And then, of course, in Forbidden West, you see a world map because of the whole sub-functions for Gaia. And this is obviously the Forbidden West, which means you're going to the west. And this takes place actually in the mid to southern western side of the U.S. So like California and down that southern western coast in Nevada, because we actually have Las Vegas. Las Vegas is one of the places actually in the gameplay is Las Vegas. This is actually one of the sub-function missions. And with that being said, we know it's in the U.S. So the main story is kind of going with U.S. operations during that time of the Achens. Although we know this is a worldwide thing, obviously, from the story. And the U.S., from the way I can understand it, has put up one hell of a fight. And the battlefields of the Achens are scattered throughout the map. Pretty much every ruin is a battlefield. This one alone, it looks like a crater, a missile crater. A lot is just off the amount of explosions and missiles that were over here. Now, with that being said, the game does a really good job, and I think this is something that other games need to learn from. It does a really good job of balancing enough knowledge of the game's history without being overcome with knowledge. I found there's a problem in, I want to say, I think it was the Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the newest one, which really, it was a cool time period, but they just kind of felt like they were kind of pushing a lot of information about like the background of the game. Some other people may not feel like that, but to me it did. Same with, I'd probably go with like maybe Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2 kind of just had a whole lot going on towards the middle of the game, towards the end. This game balances it in holograms. So mostly every main mission you're getting a ton and ton of information, but it's more based on questions more than it is answers. And what this does is it allows your imagination to kind of fill in the holes until the game does. And the game is relatively good with balancing it and breaking it up into chunks. So you may hear something of the Great War against with the agents and robots in one mission, but you may not know the answer to what happened until several missions later on, right? Or, for example, Silence, who is one of the guys who helps you throughout the first game, turns out to be evil. For the most part. As of right now, as far as I am, he's evil in the game, as far as I'm concerned. Now, with this being said, the game doesn't force it down your throat. They kind of let you figure it out. You and Aloy kind of figure it out together. It's like a team effort. You guys both realize it eventually. And I think the game does that type of style very, very well. I feel like they do an awesome job of balancing it. And I think that's a strat that most games don't do, which is kind of important, right? Now, with that being said, we can move on to the music side of things. The music was phenomenal on this game. I mean, I downloaded the soundtrack. It's phenomenal. It's one of the best soundtracks I think I've ever heard on a game. It's easily top 5 soundtracks ever. And by soundtracks, I'm not talking about theme songs. I'm talking about the general music. Because you're hearing music throughout the entire game. Walking around, there's music. Main missions, there's music. Cutscenes, there's music. Puzzle music, there's battle music. There's all types of music, right? And they just really good job of it. Which I think is a feat on its own. And yeah, I mean, there is a loss of words for me in games, because like I feel like I have in a way taken games for granted, and I'm guaranteed you guys have done the same. And I want to stress this hard enough. Look back at some of these games you've played. I know I want to go back to Destiny 2, and I want to go back to Doom Eternal and Valhalla, and I want to re-experience them in a new light. I think COD's to blame for that. I think I've been conditioned by COD to believe that multiplayer is the only route, right? In the Horizon series, Zero Dawn and Forbidden West have both been reinventing and and phenomenal in a lot of ways. So I would say that before life becomes too short, to take a step back and reevaluate what you're doing and how you act is probably like a big thing. There's a quote that I love, and and that quote is, "We stand upon the precipice of change. The world fears the inevitable plummet into the abyss. Watch for that moment, and when it comes, do not hesitate to leap. It is only when you fall that you learn whether you can fly." It's from Dragon Age 2. And I'll leave that there. Hope everyone has a great day, and stay open to change.